Very freaky. This is a mountain range here. This is one of the oldest mountain ranges in the world. This mica-schist rock. You want today's geology lesson? Here it comes. So this mountain range goes back to Pangea, according to the geologist. When Pangea was when there was one landmass on the planet. Thank you. And that one landmass, about 400 million years ago, there was a mountain building period that they called the Caledonian Orogeny. That's when this mountain range was constructed. Now, when Pangea split apart, it split into 3 separate pieces. And this mountain range is in 3 places in the world. In Morocco, in North Africa, the Atlas Mountains. You go there, it looks just like this. You go into Scotland, part of Ireland, again, it looks just like this. And then there's this part here. So that's where Pangea split apart. There's the 3 pieces. And these mountains originally were 15,000 feet higher than they are today. And that goes back 400 million years. Now, over the course of those 400 million years, well, you know, the planet got warm and got cold, and got warm and got cold. And when it got really cold, there'd be a glacial ice age. So the glaciers would come down to the north, and these glaciers would be a mile or more thick. So it would lop off the top of the mountain, carried away, who knows where it went. And so many glacial ice ages ground the mountains down. And as you're looking out, look out there, see all the mountains and the hills. You notice how they're kind of rounded? That's indicative of those many glacial ice ages out there and how old this area is. Because the glaciers simply acted like sandpaper, kind of smoothed them all out. So the younger mountains that you might think of in the world, think Himalayas. They're tall and jagged. They're still growing tall and jagged. Let's see, the Dolomites in Italy, tall and jagged. They didn't go through the ice ages like we have here. The Rocky Mountains out west, tall and jagged. They did not gone through the ice ages that we have here. So, old mountains, nice and smooth out there. That's the geology lesson for the day. And I got to tell you, my geology professor from college, he would be absolutely stunned. Good view of Birch Ravine. Birch Ravine was named for a gentleman named Henry Birch. Local history. Now, Henry Birch was around the time of the early clock railway, and there were a hotel up on top of the mountain. There's a wood frame building, 110 rooms, big hotel, 2-3 stories up there, the real deal. And so Henry Birch thought it'd be a great idea to have a daily morning newspaper up the top of the mountain. I mean, why not? Have a cup of coffee in the morning, read the morning newspaper. That's what you do at the hotels, right? So he found a printing press, transported it up there, hired staff, and they push a coach identical to this up the mountain. So we have a passenger capacity of 70 people, fully loaded with 7 tons, and the locomotive is the steam locomotive is doing the job. And they need about 1,000 gallons of water to make the round trip, and about a ton of coal to make the round trip. Their speed, depending on how good the fireman is, about 4.5 miles an hour, 4.25 typically. Oh look, a hiker. He's got his skis on over there. Well, not on, but he's taking the ski boots off. He just came up from the Great Gulf. Heading back to his car up there. So that's the steam locomotive. We have two of them. Now, let's skip forward to the diesel locomotive. Oh, take a look outside before we talk about the diesels. That's just great. Look at this is a good view of the northern presidential range mountains. Right up close, this is Mount Clay, Mount Jefferson with the big snowfield out there, Mount Sam Adams, Mount John Adams, Mount Madison, the mountains off in the distance being the mountains of western Maine. And you can see how the clouds are like all over the place out there. Up the steep, you can see sunlight. Looks like maybe a spotted shower over there too. Really good sight lines out here. 40, 50 miles you can see out there. So the diesel engines. In the early 2000s, ownership decided it was time to maybe upgrade from the steamers. And so 5 years of research and development to create the first diesel engine here. That was put into service, and when they put that into service, they retired one of the steamers. So once they got that first one up and running, that diesel, now we had a working set of plans, so they went right away and started building the second one. It only took a year to build each successive diesel engine, and so we've got 7 diesel locomotives and 2 steamers in the fleet. 8 of these coaches, and look at the beautiful workmanship of the coaches, just gorgeous. Now, a gentleman, one of our COG employees, Rob McClay, he was the mastermind behind these coaches, and he was a woodworker, you can tell, and he was excellent at it. He set the standard very high. Now, this is the second youngest or newest coach in the fleet, the pink coach. If you see that, that was the newest one. It was just put into service 3 years ago. And that was the last coach that Rob worked on. Sadly, we lost him in 2022. And on the pink coach, the last one that he worked on, we've got a plaque up there on the end for him. And he was a terrific guy. We miss him, but he certainly left his imprint on the workmanship here. So, tip of the hat to Rob. Thank you, Rob, for all the work here. Love checking out the clouds up there. We're coming down below the low ceiling. You see the low ceiling is probably 5,800, maybe 6,000 feet, as the pilots would say. Now that we're below that, we can kind of see it further out in the distance. Now on the way up, I mentioned for the newspaper, very appropriate name, Above the Clouds. And that newspaper was published for about 40, 50 years. It stopped just about the time that the Great War began. You know the Great War, the war to end all wars. And now we call it World War I. But the newspaper went up until about that time. And for all Henry Berg's efforts, he has this ravine named for him, Berg's Ravine, for Among the Clouds. Here we are, we're on Jacob's Ladder, and looking over to the left, we're looking into the Evanescent Ravine, a lot of snow patches over there. The mountains over there being the southern presidential range mountains. And let's see, Mount Monroe, Mount Franklin, the Balls Mountain out there at the end, that's Mount Eisenhower. Down below, you can see the white building, the white roof at the end here. That's our workshop where we build all these things and maintain them. Further off in the valley, you'll see a white building with a red roof. That's the Mount Washington Hotel. Beautiful Grand Hotel. We have 2 Grand Hotels here in Hampshire. The other one is in Whitefield over yonder way. Now these Grand Hotels, this one was built in like 1904, 1905. Anybody see the movie The Shining?
Yep.
Yep. And that hotel was gorgeous, huge, very ornate. And they were a summertime hotel That's why they had the winter caretaker in the movie. Now, this hotel is very similar, very large, ornate, beautiful hotel. Of course, we operate all year round, and we don't have Jack Nicholson. But it's a beautiful hotel. It was open during Prohibition. There is a speakeasy in the hotel down here. You got to go in and check it out.
So you're open year round? Not the railroads.
The railroad is open year round.
That's right.
We have walk-in station. Now the Ogden Washington Hotel operates year round. So
And it must have since 1901. Since 1901, probably.
no, they weren't operating full time until the Omni took them over more recently. Big renovations, and they said, "Oh, we're going to open it all year round." Oh, Brentwood Ski Area across the street. That made more sense.
Yeah. Huh.
Actually, the Omni owns the ski area as well. That was that geology, history, a little local history. Any questions out there? Doing pretty good. Here comes the halfway house. Now, there was a little story I got started with. I'll share that with you. Ready? Okay. Is this okay that I share this? Okay. Because now, in the wintertime, I'm a ski instructor. I teach a little bit of skiing. And one of the places that I was teaching had an adaptive sports program. And very terrific folks in those adaptive programs. I've taught some adaptive lessons. And well, one day, I was teaching a bunch of people how to ski alpine, and I had about 8 or 10 of them. And we're on the flats. And anybody on board ski, so you kind of have an idea where I'm going here. So on a very flat, where we're teaching people how to walk around on the skis, but they just slide around for some reason, just kind of take off. So this one day, one of the adaptive instructors came by to watch me teaching my class, which is okay. And this adaptive instructor, we call him he was it's tough to get old. Yeah. He lost one of his legs below the knee, so it's like a free a what?
An amputee.
Amputee, yep. But so he had this good leg, and he had a couple of outriggers, so he would ski around the mountain. Three-tracker, that's what. Oh yeah, three-tracker. He's a three-tracker. One ski and 2 outriggers making tracks in the snow. Three-tracker. So he came by one day as I was teaching a bunch of people how to ski on the flats there. And we're progressing, and these skiers, when they're on the flats, they just go backwards. And 2 or 3 of them, I watched them. They slide back and they hit the berm on the edge of and whoop, over they go. And they're in the woods and they're flopping around like mackerel and flounders. And they say, "Oh, you guys okay?" And they said, "Yeah, we're all right." So now my friend, the three-tracker, he just came up at this point. He's just kind of watching, and of course all eyes go to him because he's a three-tracker, right? Got his leg down to here. How's that for visual, right? He skis kind of like that. So he's watching the people off in the woods. So he pipes up. He says, excuse me, everybody." Now, when the other one leg says, "Excuse me, help me out," you want to help him out, right? So he says, "I wonder if you can help me out." He says, "I seem to have lost my leg. Is it over there in the woods?" Now everybody, they didn't know how to react. But the man had a very good sense of humor, and he let everybody in on it, and they had a really good laugh, and all the skiers appreciated that he could speak up like that, so that people that have become amputated can still get out and participate in a lot of activities, skiing in particular. But thought you might find that a little amusing. And I have done some work with some of the Wounded Warriors ski teaching activities, and boy, I tell you, love it. Because veterans, boy, do they know how to take direction. And when I'm teaching them, they let me take control, and we have a great time. And then afterwards, we all go out to the local pub, and I felt honored to go with them because I didn't serve, but they said, "Yeah, come on," and so I did, and I went, and I was a fly in the wall, and there was about 40 veterans out there that had participated in this event that day, and they were from all kinds of different times of the service, and it was great. And I didn't have anything to add. Fortunately, I just kept my mouth shut. Very privileged to be there. And the brotherhood that was going on out there, they were all talking about, well,